It's not super cheap, it's not super expensive. Have never had to make any warranty claims. In the past, there was some frustration, I think, with some lack of compatibility.
Welcome to Field Tested on ENF Trade TV, the show where we give you independent reviews of solar pros who have tested solar products in the real world. I am Twamberg, and today we are joined by Jordan Energy from the US, bringing us their first-hand insights on 3 key products that they have worked with extensively: a string inverter, a set of solar modules, and a commercial inverter platform. So let's begin. Hi John, please tell us about yourself and a little bit about your company.
Yeah, sure. My name is John Golden. I'm the Director of Development and Engineering with Jordan Energy. Jordan Energy has been in business for about 15 years now, and our customer base is about 85% with those farmers and food companies. I think that's kind of a high level of Jordan Energy, and we can dive in more as we get to the different topics.
All right, we have got a solid lineup of products to dig into today. Let's walk through them one by one and see how each one of them performs in the field. Starting with the first product on the line, the Chint Power System 3-phase string inverters.
Yeah, so the first thing that we're talking about is the Chint Power Systems. It's the 3-phase string inverter, the 50 kilowatt and the 60 kilowatt. Those are essentially the same product, just slight variation on the AC output power. These are, like I said, string inverters. They have multiple MPPTs. So the intention is mostly rooftop type installations based on the 1,000 volt maximum input, right, per the NEC code. So it's a tested product throughout the industry, and it's super available and comes at a good price point.
Let's talk about your real world experience. What was your first take on this inverter? Anything that impressed you or let you down?
I started looking at this product maybe around 5 years ago. For one, it was available in times of COVID, relatively available, I should say, relative to the rest of the manufacturers. I hadn't used the product yet, and so at that time, it's ensuring that you're delivering a product to your customers that has been tested in the field and has some life cycle testing on it. Though we haven't tested the efficiency specifically, we do performance assurance testing on all of our projects. We use the NREL performance assurance calculator that they've kind of come out with, and we'll deploy weather stations to be able to get the data. And so in that testing, the inverter has never been seen to be the issue of any production shortfalls.
How is the inverter in terms of installation and design?
Yeah, I'd say this inverter is very designer and installer friendly. The designing is pretty typical of your string inverters. There's certainly the string calculator that CPS offers that you can run through to confirm your design and make sure everything looks good and everything's going to be per the warranty requirements. And so you'll get the blessing directly from CPS, but that's just kind of like a check at the end. We haven't faced any issues with this particular inverter platform. They're open to a few different rapid shutdown devices that are compatible with it, and then on the monitoring side, there's the OM Flex gateway that CPS offers. We've incorporated that on a number of projects, and we've also incorporated third-party monitoring platforms into this, and they've been able to be uploaded to those with no issues.
How would you rate their overall build quality? Materials, design, weather resistance, or maybe NEMA 4X ratings?
Yeah, I think it's a solid build. It can be installed right out there in the elements in all areas of the country, which is important. We had one site where the inverters were installed on ground level below an eave, and it was the winter time, and there was like a freezing rain, and so the inverter was getting dripped on because there was an issue with the gutter above, and so it built up a layer of ice, and it was basically encased in ice around the entire thing. It never stopped working, and it was producing during that time, not much because there was some snow on the panels, but it's come back to life now that all that snow is gone, and it's producing great. So,
John, compared to other inverter products, what are the downsides of this inverter?
I think some of the shortcomings are it is 1,000 volt max input, so meant for mostly rooftop installations, and it competes against SolarEdge primarily for rooftop installations, where it has a little bit more fixed input from a design standpoint. There's not as much flexibility, and that's just typical of any string inverter on the market these days that doesn't have that. The pricing is good for this product. There's nothing that stands out. It's not super cheap. It's not super expensive. It's right where it needs to be. I think maybe the only thing to mention is maybe their OM Flex gateway can be a little pricey in the beginning. It comes with a 5-year data plan, and so that's all sort of the same across the board. Maybe just the entry point for maybe some of the smaller projects where it's not going to move the needle on a larger project. Maybe it moves the needle a little bit on a smaller project for a customer that is operating within a budget.
If you decided to stop using Chint inverter, what alternative would you choose?
Well, I think SMA is another inverter platform. They have the Sunny Tri-Powers that has been a great product for the past several years, and so that's one that we deploy as well and we trust.
Chint's 3-phase inverter under strong 4.8 out of 5 from John. Here is the score breakdown. Let's now jump to the second product on our list, the Qcell solar modules.
Yes, so the Qcells module, in this particular case, the QPeak Duo 595 watt, and that 595 can obviously change a little bit based on what's available. It's a great product. It's readily available. It's a reputable manufacturer, and it has manufacturing locations across the world, so it's a little bit less affected by supply chain volatility.
What were your first impressions of the QPeak Duo series, and what, if anything, stood out?
I highlighted the Qcells products because our projects range from a size of anywhere from 20 kilowatts behind the meter to 1.5 megawatts behind the meter to 5 megawatts AC front of the meter community solar. And the Qcell products in general are available for all of those size ranges.
How has the QPeak Duo series performed over the years in terms of reliability and durability?
The QPeak Duo series seems like it's been in the industry and available for as long as I have. I think 7 years or so, and so it's kind of one of those things where you just kind of like grow up with it, and it's just a constant that's there, and so it's a reliable product. I've not seen any cases of failures personally. Have never had to make any warranty claims.
John, working with these modules, do you think these bifacial modules really generate a noticeable extra output that they normally boast of?
Yeah, that's a great question. Generally, when we're doing our modeling for our customer systems, in which a lot of the systems will be financed by the customer ultimately, we don't really promise the bifacial gains, and we'll show the baseline just on the front side to be conservative and to make sure everyone feels good about what the system is going to produce. And then the bifacial gains will be an added benefit that you'll see after the fact, or you should see some of it after the fact. And so we recently did some performance testing on a system that was 420 kilowatt ground mount using bifacial modules, and there was comparing that one to another recent ground mount that didn't use the bifacial modules. We did see that there was an increase in the performance ratio that we were seeing. So I can't say with 100% confidence quantitatively how much the bifaciality is adding, but my observation was that it was adding enough to be observable.
Based on your experience, does the module handle shedding as claimed, or have you seen performance issues or degradation?
So far, I'd say their claims are valid, but I think it's early on in the process. With the performance guarantee that it's decades long, usually products fail in the twilight of their warranty periods, if they fail in the warranty periods. if not afterwards. So I think that's mostly a wait and see scenario.
How about in terms of installation and compatibility? What has been your overall experience installing this module?
We haven't seen any issues with this particular product. We've deployed this product on both roof mounts and ground mounts. And so 595 watt is getting up there in size. I know the trend is continuing to kind of get larger and larger modules with higher wattage. And so maybe this wouldn't be deployed on a steep pitched roof, but on flatter roofs, it's a great product to install, and we haven't had any issues in either scenario installing these.
Are there any limitations or drawbacks that you would want to bring forth?
I don't know. I can't think of any limitations or drawbacks, and you know what you're going to get until you don't. But if you go with a reputable manufacturer, then you mostly just know what you're going to get, and it's kind of a set it and forget it type situation.
How do their costs compare with other brands I mentioned? Are they competitive?
The cost point is good. I wouldn't say that it's the lowest cost option. They have availability from really small projects up to small utility scale. Just looking at it from the Jordan Energy's perspective, and so there are lower cost options, but it's a balance between the lowest cost and what you think is a quality product.
Then if you had to choose a different brand, what would be your alternative?
Now what we have to work with is mostly assembled in the US, and so there's brands that we're deploying on projects. Helene is a brand. They have a new facility up in Minnesota. SEG is another one that we've been deploying on recent projects.
John rated the QCELS modules of 4.8 out of 5. Here is the breakdown. Down to the last product on our list, the SolarEdge commercial inverter platform.
So the SolarEdge commercial inverter comes in a variety of different sizes. It's typically deployed on commercial rooftops. And so it's a great platform that has been around for many years, and it's a mostly trusted product that offers great value. So the SolarEdge platform is a unique platform in that it has the proprietary optimization. The benefit is that you get your string level and really your module level optimization on every single project. And so they're able to capture the economies of scale by the sheer amount of volume that they're manufacturing, right? And so that drives the cost of a system with optimization down.
How have these inverters performed for power supply and stability, especially under high loads or multi-inverter setups?
Yeah, multi-inverter environments is probably the majority of our installs, and they all do great together. There's been no issues with parallel operation. The inverters they output great power. These inverters also have the 1.75 DC to AC ratio compatibility. The optimizers, they make life easier on maybe some more complex roof planes. So especially on residences, they'll have a few different roof planes on the residential side. In the commercial space, there's maybe less variations in roof planes in azimuth and tilts, but it allows you that benefit. So for example, if there's maybe like a shallow east-west gable roof where you have half your modules on the east and half your modules on the west, and you have a high DC-AC ratio, then you can mix and match so that you're not peaking everything on your east modules when in the morning when the sun comes up. You're spreading that out, so you can design it in a way to reduce the amount of clipping that you might see in a regular string inverter.
How is the installation process for large rooftops or solar farms?
Yeah, I think the physical installation, there's obviously a little bit more time that goes into laying each module. Mostly it's deploying with the 2-to-1, 2 modules to 1 optimizer. Obviously it's a little more labor involved than if you're not deploying any sort of rapid shutdown device, like on a ground mount.
Did you ever run into any compatibility issues?
In the past, there was some frustration, I think, with maybe some lack of compatibility. So let's say you have your product and it fails in 10 years. Well, this industry is turning over products, new products every year, every couple of years. And so those particular devices, they're not available anymore. And so there's a whole new set of devices. I think I'd be speculating, but I think that caused some issues internally. And I think that caused some difficulty and maybe some friction in relationships. I know that a few years ago, SolarEdge went through essentially they reduced the amount of options that they're producing in their plants.
John, any long-time reliability issues like shutdowns, replacement delays, or support problems with these inverters?
Yeah, I think there's been some issues historically. Again, some folks are in the camp of they'll stay totally away from SolarEdge. I think there's been some issues with service on RMA products. So when an optimizer fails, it's not as big of a deal as when an inverter fails. In some of those instances where maybe there was a bad lot of manufacturing, a lot of the optimizers fails, then that's certainly an issue and you want to get it addressed right away. And so I think in the past there was some delays in getting RMAs dealt with. The inverters, I think their fans may not be as robust as maybe some of the other inverter manufacturers in the industry. I don't know if that has something to do with their optimization system, but we certainly see more failures with SolarEdge with fans than we do on like CPS and SMA.
Okay, so how does SolarEdge commercial inverter pricing compare to other large-scale inverter brands?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say its price point is good. It has the added cost of the optimization, and so that's getting you a little bit more functionality. You have to deploy it in areas that make sense. So obviously a ground mount, a fixed tilt ground mount has never made sense for me to deploy it. You don't need the shutdown devices. We're working on a number of agrivoltaic projects, and we are going to be using it on at least one of those projects. With the anti-tracking I think is the term, where you point the panels away from the sun so that the crops can get more sun. Depending on how it's strung, the SolarEdge optimization is supposed to get us some more production than you would with a regular string inverter.
And of course, my last question, John. What's your alternative product brand for SolarEdge?
Well, if I'm going to move away from SolarEdge, I'd like to have another platform that has optimization. It's a good option to have when you're designing in the C&I space. So, it'd probably end up being like maybe an SMA with the Tigo optimizer.
John rated the SolarEdge commercial inverter a 4.2 out of 5. Here is the breakdown. Big thanks to John from Jordan Energy for sharing his real-world experience. Insights like this are what exactly Field Tested is all about.
Thank you.
If you are a solar installer with years of experience under your belt and a strong understanding of the products you use, get in touch with us and get a chance to share your reviews on Field Tested. Once again, I am Trambak and thanks for watching ENF Trade TV, your trusted source for all things solar.